Hello and welcome to this week's episode. We are going to unbunk some cannabis myths or debunk. What do you say? Unbunk, debunk? I normally say debunk, but I don't know why I said unbunk.
Unbunk sounds cool to say, actually,
Unbunk.
but I usually say debunk.
Yeah, we're going to debunk some cannabis myths.
Cannabis, often known as marijuana, has been a subject of intrigue, debate, and misconceptions for decades. As its acceptance grows globally, it's crucial to separate myths from the facts. Let's dive into some common myths about cannabis and uncover the truth.
All cannabis gets you high. Fact. Cannabis contains several components, THC being the primary psychoactive component responsible for the high feeling. However, CBD is another primary compound that offers therapeutic benefits without psychoactive effects. Many products, especially those designed for medical use, are high in CBD and low in THC. I would like to point out that THC and CBD do have their own medical uses. There's some things that you can use and you use there's some things that you can have and you'll use THC for over CBD and vice versa. So THC does in fact have its own medical use as well, but you will find a lot of products on the market, especially ones that aren't prescribed, are CBD, not THC.
Myth: cannabis is a gateway drug. Fact: the theory that cannabis use leads to the use of harder drugs has been widely debated. While some individuals who use harder drugs might have started with cannabis, correlation does not imply causation. Many factors, including environment, peer, influence, and personal circumstances, play a role in substance use and abuse. And I can actually say, hand on heart, I have never used anything but cannabis. I am the debunked myth that is. It's widely known as a gateway drug, but I can actually say that it's not a gateway drug. I do not feel, in my personal opinion, that it could be labeled such a thing.
I feel the same, and that's not because I've only ever used cannabis, but I used other things and then went to cannabis. So completely the other way around. Cannabis was not my gateway.
Well, this is another thing that can be brought into debate. Really, it's the fact that cannabis could actually be used to help people with
Yeah,
harder substance issues, and people actually use cannabis to help wean off the harder substances. That's
yeah,
what I've
absolutely.
seen it with my own eyes in real life. So yeah, definitely not a gateway drug in my opinion.
Not in my opinion either. Please, if you have a different opinion or you share the same opinion, let us know in the comments.
Yep, we'd
It's
love to
always
hear from you.
interesting to hear from all different people. Myth: cannabis has no medical benefits. Fact: contrary to this belief, cannabis has been used for medical purposes for thousands of years. Modern research suggests potential benefits in treating conditions like epilepsy, chronic pain, anxiety, and more. Many countries have legalized medical cannabis precisely because of the therapeutic potential, and the UK is actually one of those countries.
Way, I mean, we are behind the times,
We
but
are,
we can
yes.
be grateful that it's actually being recognised medically now.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And there's other countries that have legalized things more or even like gone down the decriminalization route. But a lot of people are still very unaware in the UK that you can actually use THC completely legally, and you've been able to since 2018. I am one of those people that get a private prescription of THC oil. You can get THC flower, they call it. It's bud, but they call it flower. And you can go down that route. Personally, I'm lazy and I would rather just take my oil in the morning and the evening and be done with it and not have to worry about it for the rest of the day. But you can, if you've gone through all of the like other traditional things to treat your condition and none of that's worked.
pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, and none of that's worked, then you can go into the clinics that do cannabis prescriptions. And it's as simple as Googling cannabis clinics.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
it's that simple, and you can book an appointment straight away. Personally, I recommend Sapphire to start with. And that's simply because they do a free online triage and they don't actually charge any money until they know that they're like 99% sure that they will be able to give you the prescription.
Yeah.
So I always go down there. You can obviously change clinics after that if you wish, but to actually get the ball rolling and get into it, then Sapphire online? Am I eligible on their website? Go down that route.
Myth, only the young use cannabis. Fact, cannabis use spans all age groups. While recreational use might be more prevalent among younger individuals, many older adults use cannabis, especially medicinal cannabis, for pain management, sleep disorders, and other age-related conditions. I'm definitely not considered as one of the young anymore, am I? Am I considered one of the young now?
No, and
I don't think so.
I grew up like my parents didn't use cannabis, but my godfather did, and like he's obviously always been quite a bit older, and like isn't I've never really been around the young using it until I
No,
was one of the
me
young
neither.
ones.
It is more older people. Well, maybe that's because I'm older now, but it's always been older people that I've seen use it, never the younger people than me. And I do apologise if you can hear like rattling and scratching in the background because my cat is just going wild right now and I've got no cat sitter. So
Yeah, obviously I can't hear her. I can't
Oh,
hear her,
well,
but
well, that's okay then. Just hopefully, if anyone's wearing earbuds, they might be able to.
they
Um,
also might be able to hear Hempy as well.
we'll try and use the magic of editing. But we're just trying to roll through this, guys.
Myth. Cannabis affects memories and learning in all users. Fact. Whilst excessive consumption, especially in younger individuals, might impact cognitive function, moderate and informed use, particularly of strains low in THC, has not shown the same effects. It's essential to understand dosage, strain, and individual factors when considering cannabis use, which is a massive problem in the UK. There's no understanding between like the different strains of cannabis.
Absolutely not.
Um, my brother is a cannabis user and he really struggles with it because he smokes the wrong kind of strain because he's on street weed.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's the thing. It around here, you just got to get what you get, right? You
yeah.
get what you get, unless you grow your own, which then even then is, you
No,
know.
he didn't even know the difference between indica and sativa.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you need to stay away from indica bud and try and find some sativa bud. I said, what have you got at the moment? And he's like, I don't know. I don't even know what it is. I don't even ask anymore. And I was like, okay,
I know,
that's
and
cool.
I can't wait till the day that we have dispensaries or that I go to a country with dispensaries even and you just get to like smell the different strains, look at the different strains. Do you remember that conversation we had with I can't believe I'm forgetting her name right now. The doctor who works with the terpenes.
Dr. Callie Seaman.
That's we had that interview with Dr. Callie, and what she said is if you are able to smell a strain and have options of different strains available to you, she said what you might be more drawn to is what your body actually needs.
Yeah.
So that's like another downside of us not being able to choose the strain that that we want, or we just get what we're given and that's it.
Yeah, it is a massive problem, and obviously with more regulation and everything, and more open discussions about cannabis in general, we can solve a lot of these issues. Right?
Absolutely.
And everyone can use a cannabis that's suitable to their individual needs. The way I remember the difference between indica and sativa is from program on Netflix called Disjointed, and they said that indica is in the couch and sativa, that explains that one. That one's the one that you like completely monged out, like can't do anything, whereas sativa's the more like creative
Yeah.
one, the one that you want to use like daytime.
Myth, legalizing cannabis will lead to increased crime rates. Fact, studies from regions where cannabis has been legalized have shown either no significant change in rates or a decrease, especially in drug related offences. Legalization often leads to regulation, which can reduce illicit market activities, which is correct, right? If
Yeah.
you're able to grow your own or go to a legal dispensary, you are basically eliminating the need for drug dealers. And I'm not saying that drug dealers are bad people, because let's admit, not all of them are. Most people are just trying to, make a bit of extra money, help the families, but it's still seen as crime. So if you have a legal place where you can buy it, you eliminate all of that straight away, and then people aren't going to prison on cannabis charges. Because let's face
Yeah.
it, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I mean, legalizing anything also goes hand in hand with crime rates decreasing, you know. So if crime rates of cannabis are a serious issue in the area, then maybe it's something that you should write to your MP and get them considering. Because I know a lot of people are always writing to MPs and other people of authority in the UK fighting for cannabis legalization or decriminalization.
Yeah, what I find as well sometimes is, instead of there being like two different sides, like pro cannabis and against cannabis, these people should be talking to each other a lot more, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Break down those walls and speak to the people in your community. It's always a great way forward.
And a lot of people learn a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we wouldn't have thought of from like the against cannabis side, and there's a lot of things that the against cannabis side wouldn't have thought from the pro cannabis side.
Exactly.
Myth: all cannabis consumption methods are the same. Fact: the method of consumption can significantly influence the effects of cannabis. Smoking, vaping, edibles, tinctures, and topical oils offer different experiences and onset time. For instance, edibles take longer to kick in but can provide a more prolonged effect compared to smoking. So I actually have personal experience with this. And I used to be a cannabis smoker, but since getting my prescription, now it's more like I use a tincture or an edible. They're kind of like the same thing, aren't they? And I will say, like, when I was a smoker, it was more of like an instant feeling, an instant effect. Whereas when I use my oil now, I have to wait a few hours to feel that effect. And I can take exactly the same amount of oil, and one day it will make me feel a bit like, whoa, maybe that was a bit like too much. And then other days I'm absolutely fine, So it really does differ day to day when you're going down that route. That's why a lot of people try and stay away from like the edibles and the tinctures and stuff, because they're just not sure. They want that instant feeling, so they can then like monitor how that's going for them and know if they need a top up. Whereas once you've gone down the edible tincture route, you're there. There's no coming back from that.
Well, I was gonna say, I've never had the privilege of trying edibles, and that's purely because, like say, in this market, it's hard to find somebody who can actually make you edibles at work, right?
Yeah.
And because we paid money before for edibles, that it's like, is there even any weed in this?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for me that I haven't tried edibles yet, but maybe, sometimes it might be what you eat that affects how quickly or how slower it absorbs.
I had one day.
Doesn't THC like a fatty molecule to attach
right.
onto?
So this has happened to me one day, right? I was absolutely fine, and then we went and got food, and I had a milkshake, and I felt high as fuck. Holy shit! Like, blast off in my chair. I was in the passenger seat of the car, and I'm just like, no, too much. But I hadn't taken any extra oil or anything. I had literally taken the amount that I take every day, but because I then mixed that with a real thick, creamy milkshake, I was like, oh shit. Here we go.
Yeah, because isn't that why can of butter is like a big thing?
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly
like you make your can of butter, and then you make your can of butter into other products, don't you?
That's exactly why it is like that. Because if you just chuck weed in it, it won't really work. You need that fatty.
Don't waste weed like that, guys. Don't do it.
And you need to at least like decarb it in the oven first before you do anything, right? But yeah, it's the difference between consumption methods is crazy for people that don't know that, and then they think, oh well, I'll just eat some rather than smoke it because I'm not a smoker. That's where the bad experiences come from.
Yeah, and you like, if you've never done edibles before, you try a little bit and you wait, and then you maybe try a little bit more, right? But you don't just eat the whole thing straight away unless
you wait like at least an hour as well, which is a really long time to be sat there like waiting for something to happen. And then sometimes it can be like so gradual that you don't actually notice it's happened until you go over the mark and like too far, and then you're like, oh shit.
I mean, I've been like, well, I mean, I don't even know how I'd describe it. Like floating, just everything's hilarious. And
Yeah.
I got that feeling from a THC vape.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never had that feeling like I have off that vape with anything else. But
Yeah.
like I haven't tried edibles yet. But I've just smoked for so long now. I need a tolerance break, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't want to do a tolerance break, but I think I need to.
I've recently just been away, haven't I, to see Sally at the beach house, and all of the kids in that house at the time have some form of neurodivergency.
Divergent.
Like
Yeah.
and I'm just there. I've had my oil. I did take a little bit extra because I was on holiday and the kids were being a lot. I just sat there in the corner of the living room watching these kids like just laughing my head off, and they all can't understand why I'm laughing. They're all just so funny. Like they just all do random shit that's so funny. And one of them is led on the floor, literally like a corpse, trying to work out how long they can hold their breath for. And I'm just okay.
Okay.
But yeah, none of them could work out why I was laughing, and it was because of the having a little bit too much THC, and then it all of a sudden like kicked in, because sometimes it just like you feel fine, and then all of a sudden it's there, and you're like, okay, we're going
You're
on
like,
this
whoa,
ride now.
let's hold on for this.
Yeah, it was great. Had a great time.
As the global perspective on cannabis shifts, approaching the topic with an open mind and factual information is more important than ever. Debunking myths is a step towards understanding the true potential and challenges of this ancient plant. Always consult professionals and trusted sources when considering cannabis for medicinal or recreational purposes. Thanks for joining us on today's episode. We hope you learned something new. Please like, subscribe, and ding the bell so you don't miss future uploads.